So for the next topic, we've got DeSantis and his allies ramp up a Disney fight as more Republicans criticize his tactics. I'm surprised the Republicans are criticizing his tactics because, if Donald Trump ends up in prison or something like that, then he's the next runner-up. He's the next biggest guy to, take on the Democrats. And I don't know. Do you guys think the Republican Party really stands a chance if it's not Trump or DeSantis? I'm pretty sure if they go with Trump, they'll probably win. DeSantis, probably, maybe. It'll be a fight. But without either of them, I don't know. I'm not too confident in that. But as you guys know, he's been going through this whole situation. He's the governor of Florida, and as we know, Florida is the land of Disneyland and or world, but basically the land of Disney, and they're basically arguing off of zoning and things like that. So it was really interesting. You guys came in, and I appreciate you guys came in and told me a lot of facts that I didn't know, and also things that weren't in the article. So it helped me get a lot more of an understanding about a situation in which I thought was actually quite confusing. So let's see how this is continuing, because it seems like this war between Ron DeSantis and Disney is getting juicier and juicier by the day, and it doesn't seem like anyone is willing to give up. If anything, they're doubling down. So let's see what's going on. Here's Ron DeSantis right now. He's looking disgruntled. Now it says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and his allies are ramping up their fight against Walt Disney Company, even as more of the possible Republican presidential candidate's rivals criticize him for his long battle with the entertainment titan. Oh, so could these are the Republicans that are possibly looking to run, or, they're, not wanting DeSantis to be the person running, essentially. That makes a lot of sense. If you can make DeSantis look a little bit worse, then your candidate instantly looks a little bit better by default. They don't actually look better, but if you just bring somebody down, instantly you're on top. Now it says DeSantis ripped Disney repeatedly this week over its recent maneuvers to thwart the governor's efforts to seize some of the company's Orlando parks and properties. So, he's essentially trying to assert power over Disney within Florida. Disney's not having it right now, and DeSantis and his people are doubling down. He said, "We'll make sure that we keep them in their pen one way or another." DeSantis said of Disney on Wednesday during an event in the early presidential primary state of South Carolina. Now, I would think it's kind of wild to say that to a company as big as Disney when you're the governor of their, of their state. I understand, like, he's in the government, he's in government, and Disney is just essentially a public-private company, and everything like that. But still, you have to realize that Disney will be taking over Florida, whether DeSantis is there or not. Disney has been there well before Ron DeSantis has been there and everything. So to talk to them like that is kind of erratic, in my opinion. But hey, he's a politician. Why did Donald Trump get elected? Because he was, he was willing to say what a lot of people didn't want to say. Now, let's continue. The governor, who has not announced his presidential plans, but is considered former President Donald Trump's top competitor for the 2024 GOP nomination, was promoting his new book, which derides Disney as a magic kingdom of woke corporatism. And yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with that. Disney's been pretty woke lately in his movies, and I'm not saying that woke is essentially bad, but I'm just saying when characters are written differently to include certain people rather than going with the story or what could possibly be the best writing just to make people feel inclusive, I feel that that's kind of ugly. I'm not really one for most of these woke movies because I feel like they don't really put life into a realistic standpoint, and when I'm seeing a movie, I want a realistic depiction of whatever I'm watching. And like I said before, I also think when you're focused more on inclusion than you are on the actual writing of scripts, then the person basically at that point, their ability to be they're not allowed to be as creative. And when people aren't allowed to be as creative, what happens to the product? Normally the product just isn't as good or as effective. Now it says, meanwhile, his handpicked board of supervisors overseeing Disney World's special tax district increased the pressure on Disney. The officials moved Wednesday to regain authority over the property, as they say Disney wrongly took away just before they took charge. They're saying Disney knew they was coming. He said Disney knew they was coming. They're like, Now, it says the board took that step 2 days after DeSantis floated a range of possible actions against Disney World, including developing land nearby, which you guys know Disney is all about expansion. Disney is essentially just one big city. If you guys didn't know, there's the parks, there's hotels, there's restaurants. It's almost like a county, and everything like that. So Disney would probably be very worried about who's building what near its borders. Would they be able to expand in the future? Disney's the type of company, they're thinking 30, 40, 50 years in the future. Oh man, if this person next to us has this plot of land, that could be difficult for us if we're trying to expand. Maybe it may not be a problem now, but it could be a problem later. So I could definitely see why these people are at war. It makes perfect sense. Now it says people have said maybe create a state park, try to do more amusement parks. Someone said another state prison. Who knows? Now they don't want him to be coming in. See, he's doing stuff that would be in direct opposition. Oh man, he is on Disney right now. Direct opposite. Because think about it, a state park. That's something for people to do, to go see, to go have fun at, which if they're doing that, where are they not at? Disney World. An amusement park, literally a direct competitor to Disney World. Hey, or Disneyland, Disney World, I'm not sure which one it is. Think about you like, hey, I don't want to pay the $200 per person to go to Disneyland or something like that. But there's a park that's over there a few miles down the street that's running it for $75. Let's just go there instead. Taking money directly out of Disney's pockets, which is why Disney is fighting this so hard. And now he said a state prison. Now you would probably think, okay, what would a state prison have to do? But think about it. Disney is a place where when you think about taking your girl on a date, do you think about taking her to Disneyland? That's probably not the first place that pops up in your head. But what's one place that everyone wants to take their kids who pretty much is an American? Disneyland or Disney World. So if you're thinking about wanting to take your kids there, would you want right outside of the district of Disney World for there to be a state prison, which people would think that there are dangerous people in, or people who have done something wrong? That's not exactly the kind of thoughts that Disney would like to have in your head when you're at Disney World, or what I'm saying, and everything like that. So it says it's the latest chapter in the grim tale that began more than a year ago after Disney opposed the controversial Republican-passed Florida law limiting classroom discussion of this orientation or gender identity. That legislation dubbed Don't Say, by critics should have never been signed by DeSantis, Disney said in March 2022. Disney's stance sparked a bitter feud. The state Republican governor and GOP-held legislature targeted the special tax district that has allowed Disney to essentially govern itself for decades. So yeah, they just been going at it pretty much on pretty much any type of woke legislation. If it's Democratic legislation, Disney's fighting for it. If it's Republican legislation, then you already know Ron DeSantis is going for it. I believe Disney was pretty much fighting, the whole thing about being able to, there is a bug in here, I can see it, about being able to speak about, those types of, issues inside the classroom, and basically DeSantis was pushing back on that. You guys already know how I feel about it. I feel like that doesn't really have its place to be spoken on into the classroom. I think that safe sex is very important for kids to know, obviously when they're at a certain age. But I feel like, your gender identity and everything like that is perfectly fine and do what you want to do. But I don't think that we should push that on kids, nor do I think there's any reason to be teaching children about that. I think that's kind of something that's your business. Like what you actually do in the bed, to me, and who you do it with is your business. But I think you should just know how to do it safely. You feel what I'm saying? If that makes any sense. Now, it says DeSantis' willingness to use his political power to engage in animating cultural fights has made him a rising star in the GOP, but his transition to the national stage in apparent anticipation of a presidential announcement has sparked criticism even from some of his fellow Republicans. So let's say, I don't know, he hasn't came out saying that he really wants to run for president. But if he is really going to choose to run for president, this could kind of hurt him if a lot of Republicans are able to look at this and kind of be like, hey, man, like, you might need to back off a little bit, you know? But I'm pretty sure he knows what he's doing. Maybe not as hard as he's going at Disney, but I'm pretty sure he knows exactly what he's doing. Now, Trump, a former DeSantis ally who is now lashing out at the government on a regular basis, wrote Tuesday that the governor is getting absolutely destroyed by Disney. He's killing that man. He's killing that man. I'm surprised Trump switched up on him. Because Trump was actually having a lot of good things to say about DeSantis. Now, let's see. Let's see what it says here. Okay. Now it says here, those Republicans are either running for president or considered possible candidates, making them DeSantis' potential rivals. So he's talking about, you know, obviously the people who are hating, I guess you could say hating on DeSantis. Kind of like we said earlier, it makes sense that the only Republicans that would be hating on him like that would be ones. So maybe this is why Trump is switching up. Maybe it was too early, you know, before the 2020 election for Trump to really come in and be hating. So he was like, yeah, let me just look nice, you know what I'm saying, kind of support my man, you know, and now it's getting closer to the election. It's like, ooh, 2024 is kind of coming soon. It's like, all right, about time to turn on him. Time to turn on him. You know, maybe. Now it says, oh, oops. Oh, all right, here we go. But it says, but some polls of the prospective GOP primary field also showed DeSantis losing ground to Trump, a trend that the New York Times noted last month. That's pretty crazy that Trump was actually gaining ground on DeSantis after he's dealing with all these legal issues. You know, he's still dealing with like he just got hit with those 36 felonies that he was non-guilty for. Then, you know, he's having to deal with the SA case right now. So that's crazy. So I'm surprised even as all this is going on, Trump is still doing better and better in the numbers. That just kind of shows the strength that he has, you know, for being the presidential candidate for the Republicans. Now, okay. That's an attempt to subvert the will of the people of Florida, and Governor DeSantis will not stand for that, which was a response to Christie's criticism. Okay, so I think we understand what's going on pretty much in this article. Disney and DeSantis are still going at it much harder than they even were before. This isn't the difference between a law that's going to go on with kids in school about what they can and can't talk about. This is about Disney, who's had power all throughout Florida for who knows however many years, essentially losing ground, literal ground, like literal property, losing ground, you know, within the state of Florida. So I want to know, what do you guys think about this? Are you guys on Disney's side? Are you on DeSantis' side? Let me know why you're on each side too as well. And as you guys know, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, of course. But I'm really trying to hear what you guys think. Like, which side are you guys on? And let me know what you guys also think about them, like, you know, possibly trying to put amusement parks next to Disney. Do you guys think Disney kind of has the right to kind of fight for that, even outside their zones? You know, do you think that's something they should fight for? Or at this point, Disney is just being a bully and they're saying, hey, this is our state. We can do whatever we want. And Disney and DeSantis is saying, this is my state. I'm going to do whatever I want. So let me know what you guys think about it and what side you're on. And I will be right back for the next topic.